So I want to do a video today about something that I saw pop up recently in the community. Josh Kearney, who runs a fantastic gym and training facility, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. He recently put a post up on Facebook talking about living the fighter life, right? What it takes to be a fighter, and sometimes capital F fighter, and it means living the fight life, meaning committing time, putting in the work, pushing through pain and adversity. And there was a whole thread and argument about it where a lot of people responded in a negative way. I think they kind of saw it as gatekeeping, kind of like you're not really a fighter if you don't do certain things, you're not part of the community. And I know Josh, not real well, but I've fought with him a couple times. I've seen a lot of his posts. We've talked a little bit. And that's not what he meant and not what he talked about. And him and Ringo, Trash Night Ringo, who if you've seen the show Night Fight, you've seen both of them on there. They had a nice little live stream conversation back and forth, and I kind of chimed in on, well, actually watched it, and let's comments in the chat. I just want to put my own thoughts out about it. So, what does it mean to be like a capital F fighter or a fighter in this sport? This is a really new sport, right? We don't have a really good system for divisions. We have no ranking other than just like we know some teams are good and some teams are I guess the term beer league or more like starting out or just doing it for fun. But what Josh is talking about, I think, and what I would say, for my own opinion, is it's about committing a lot of time to something that's dangerous. And if you want to be good at it, you got to put in the work. Anyone who gets out there and steps in the ring or the list or on the field with me and puts on armor is a fighter, right? Like you're putting on armor, you're going out, you're fighting. But for some people, it's much more hobbyist, which is totally fine. And that's great. We need hobby people. But also, there's people who dedicate their lives to this, right? Like Josh owns a gym. Jay with the Knights Hall has built his life around fighting here. We got Warlord Academy down south. You got the Seattle guys, Ludus, which are a community of fighters that are training all the time and have a gym out there. I mean, there's a difference between doing anything as a hobby and living the life, and that's not negative in either term. I played basketball for a very long time. I was okay at it for someone my size at like 6'1", right, who isn't built like a traditional basketball player. I was pretty good. And for a while, back in high school, I played basketball 6 nights a week. Every night I played in a pickup league or I played in a team. I was a basketball player. I would say I lived the basketball life for a while. I didn't play college, right? I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. All 4 of them are college ball players. My youngest sister, she's Division I. And like she was a top level basketball player. My brothers were fantastic basketball players. All 5 of us, I would say, were basketball players. We lived the baller life. We played, right? It's not about a skill level, it's about a commitment and effort. And just because I wasn't as good didn't mean that I wasn't a committed living that basketball life. I was in gyms, grinding it out, trying to get better to the best of my ability. So I don't think Josh or Ringo, or not me for that matter, are talking about how good you are at a sport, how good you are at this. It's a difference between a commitment to it and living a life where you want to be the best that you can be, or saying I want to show up and get in armor a couple times a year and fight. Both of those are valid. Neither one of those is gatekeeping or restricting or taking it away. So the one thing I'll say that is a little bit different between this sport and basketball is that there's a level of risk that's different, right? So if I'm a bad basketball player or I'm not as skilled or whatever it is, no matter how hard I work, or if I don't work, I just show up and play pickup ball, whatever, I'm just going to get embarrassed or lose by a lot of points. Like that's the worst case scenario, right? Guy dunks on me, that's it. Here, you can get hurt, right? You're going against the wrong team and they don't understand the level of compete that you're coming at. People can come and really get injured if they have no defensive techniques. They don't understand kind of when they may need to go down, what they need when they need to turn. Like it's a risky sport for anyone. Even the best people can get hurt. I came out of Clemson Carnage at the national championship for IMCF this year with the compressed disc in my neck. Right, I couldn't fight for 2 months after that. Like that stuff happens, and so I will say that there's a difference here between like you gotta know a little bit when you get in that ring, you can get hurt, but also understand that there is going to be a level of people being concerned if you're just showing up and fighting at a top level event and you haven't put any effort in. And again, I'm not great at this. I'm training and trying to be good, and I put the effort in. I consider myself a fighter in the fact that I fight regularly. I show up, I train. You can see behind me, I've built like a gym in my yard because I'm committing my life to this. Big part of my life is this training, is staying in shape, and is fighting. Hopefully I'm going to be a top tier fighter someday. Maybe I'll be like basketball. It's the pinnacle of what I can do, and I'll be happy with that. So I just want to kind of talk about that. Is I think anyone who's interested in this sport should show up and try it. I think you should get in armor. You should try an event. But be aware, if you go into some high-level competitions, you can really get hurt. If you go into any melee, you can get hurt. You can start off doing duels. Start doing simpler things where the risks are lower. You can get into smaller group fights or practices. All of that's wonderful, and you can show up and do it a couple times a year. But I don't think it's fair to get upset at someone like Josh or Ringo or me or anyone who's saying, hey, we put a lot of effort into this. We're building this to whatever level we are. Like I said, Josh owns a gym. Ringo's put in countless hours training and coaching and teaching and traveling. I mean, for me, I'm just fighting and training, and I got a gym in my backyard, right? So it's different levels. But I don't think it's fair to get upset for someone saying, hey, like, if you want to be really good at this, you got to work really hard at it, right? I mean, we literally build our sports culture around this, right? Like, I don't watch Rocky and say, oh, you know, Rocky's training, but I'm also a fighter because I got in a boxing ring once, right? Like, no, the whole point of that movie is look how hard he works to overcome, because he's living the fighter life. He's living the boxing life, right? You watch the Michael Jordan documentary that's going on right now on Netflix. Like, look at the level of compete that guy has. Like, that's what, and he is living that life as all NBA players are, right? Like, I would never go and get mad at Michael Jordan because he said, like, you're not living the basketball life, because I'm not on the same level. It doesn't make any sense. So I really think that it's just want to be addressed that, like, I encourage anyone to come try. If anyone's in the New Hampshire area, I live over, like I said, in kind of western New Hampshire, you want to come try my gear, you want to come mess around and fight in my little fake arena back here, I'm happy to give you a chance and show you all about it. You want to come to the Knights Hall in Nashville, you want to come to Josh's gym, you know, like, everyone wants more people involved, but we don't want to diminish the effort it takes to get in that ring, because it is hard to do consistently. It's hard to come back and do it again. It's heavy equipment. It feels bad when you put it on sometimes, right? Like, going to that next round is a challenge. You fight a chapter match here at the Knights Hall, and you're in your fourth quarter, and you've already fought X number of rounds. You know, getting in there again, like, that stuff is really challenging. And people who do that consistently and train to do that, I think that they have a right to say, hey, we're living the fighter life, and other people who are doing it as a hobby aren't. It's not a complaint, not a critique, not negative, just a difference. Brian Canton, I can never say the name right. He runs the Brotherhood of Arrow and Sword, which is a Renaissance reenactment group, right? They're fantastic. They do demo fights and things like that. They do Renaissance fairs, and they do teaching about all kind of historical fighting and medieval fighting and things like that, and they'll have us show up. I've shown up and fought with them once, right? I would never say I'm a reenactor. I showed up and helped out. These guys live the life. They set up the camp. They have all the equipment. They have all the historical gear. They're teaching and educating. They have their entire culture is around being an educator. They're living that Renaissance educator teacher life. I'm the brute dude who showed up to help fight for 5 minutes and show off the armor, but I'm not part of that community, and I would never think that. I'm just there to help out or be someone who is an advocate for it. The same, I think, with someone who shows up and says, hey, I'm going to get in armor once and fight. Yeah, you've done it. Good, like, awesome. Do that alone. That's fantastic. You add to the checklist all the cool stuff you did in your life. But I don't think you can get upset at other people who are dedicating countless hours, every week to being the best they can at it, and that there is a difference. So that's really it. I don't think there's a right or wrong as far as what you do in the sport. I think just participating is awesome. But I also think that in the people who are working really hard at it, they have a right to say, hey, we live this life, and it's different than someone who isn't putting in that effort. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm wrong, you call me an idiot. And if you agree with me, you can tell me I'm great too, whatever you think. Again, Woodchuck Knight, like and subscribe, leave comments below.